David?
Hey, Mike. David Moore, Dallas Morning News. Had a question and a quick follow-up for you. How would you characterize your meeting with Jerry yesterday? Was it talking a lot about you in a fifth season? Was that a brief part of it? It was like, hey, what are you looking for? What do we need to do here?
It was a long meeting. I think we went probably a little bit past 3 hours. We talked about a number of topics. The first topic was obviously the disappointment of the ending of the season. Went through all the layers of that. Then we talked about pretty much everything in the football program.
So it was more looking forward and just what happened and then what initially.
Yeah, I think it. We went the whole course. Went back through things that we felt may have factored, and like I said, the disappointment component had a lot of layers to it. So we went through all those layers, and then we talked about personnel and coaches and everything involved. So business affairs, and so like I said, it was a long, productive conversation.
I know a lot of veteran coaches in your position feel it's important not to go into a final year to want an extension. Can you talk about working without an extension in this final year and any complications?
Well, I think the biggest thing is, and I've been asked this for 20 years or ever how long those questions pertain. I've never talked about a player's contract, coach's contract. I'm not going to start today, but I will say I am very confident in the direction, and I like where we are, as far as moving forward. So I'm very confident where I am.
Clarence, a four-star telegram. Can you talk about what the last few days have been like, and for you and your family with the uncertainty, if you felt there was some uncertainty regarding your future, and is there a sense of relief, focus? Where are you now mentally going forward?
Professionally, this is what I do. And it's it's tough, no doubt about it. I think when you have the opportunity to sit down and talk to every player, every coach, that's what Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesday was, and then really shifted from the player exit interviews right up to the conversation with Jerry. To say it's not emotional would, of course it is. I think it's being Captain Obvious. But yeah, the family part of it is the only part that concerns me. Everything else is I have great confidence in who I am as a man and who I am as a coach. But the personal part of it is a challenge.
Just going forward, what's the mindset? Obviously you refocus this relief on where you are going forward.
I'm focused on the press conference right now. So, I have a job to do. So, and, obviously I think all of us spend as much time as we can with our family. So nothing's changed for me.
Mike, Todd Archer with ESPN. What needs to change with this team, organization, staff to get past?
Todd, it's still raw right now. I'm still a little bit numb. It doesn't matter what year you're in, the level of success you have. My experience and really my approach has always been, you're going to have changes, you're going to have adjustments, and you're going to have emphasis. And starting with the emphasis, there's a lot of things that were accomplished, so we want to make sure we can try to build off of those. We're always going to adjust, whether it's staff responsibilities, players responsibilities, scheme, all those things, and and then in changes is really part of that adjustment. How big of a change you need to make. So we're just getting started.
What's the biggest regret from what happened on Sunday?
Biggest regret? Well, not winning the game. But yeah, we haven't. The coaches have done their evaluations, and I got those last night. So I'm still working through it, and I've had some conversations. I'm going to a meeting from here. But yeah, I think the disappointment is just not playing to your standard of play. And you go through the whole regular season, you establish a standard of play, a standard of productivity, approach, and all those things. And one team played to their standard, and the other didn't. And unfortunately, we didn't. So, I'm very disappointed in our performance and just not playing to our standard.
Joe.
Joe Trahan, WFA TV. Mike, because the performance was so far below expectations, and you talked that you got reports from coaches and everything, do you try and tweak the way you evaluate it because it was so far below what you expected? Are there any things that you could do different in your evaluation process to try and get to the bottom of what happened?
I'm not sure what you're talking.
You have a certain way that you evaluate any game. Do you think, hey, listen, because that was so far below or so out of the ordinary for what you would expect, do you think about trying to tweak the way you evaluate it?
I look at evaluation process because I think the biggest thing is, the way, when you build a football program, from my approach is, you have education, education, how are you going to do it? And then what you're going to do is the application of it. And then you got to have a healthy, strong, well-oiled evaluation process. And from that, you have things that you put buckets in. So, and those buckets, have goals and statistical, filters that give you direction and make sure you're looking at. Statistics don't tell the whole story, so that's not what I'm saying here. But I think it clearly gives you a light to shine on and make sure you lock into those things. And the hard part about coming in here right now is, there's a tremendous amount of emotion, in all of us right now. And, you have to get the emotion out of that to have clarity in your substance of how you're going to move forward. You got to learn from it, and then how you're going to grow. So then you got to swing back around. Now you got to educate again. Then you got to apply it, and that's that's a process. So the evaluation process that we'll go through is, I guess you would say it's tweak because you're applying it to different people. It's never the same. I guess to answer your question.
And then just a quick follow up. Will you go back to the Bills game, to the 49ers game, to try and find common denominators for that kind of performance from your team as you move forward to look for answers?
No, absolutely, and that's that's the insight that you're always is always part of your evaluation. No, absolutely, the negatives in those games are definitely at the forefront of what we got to be better at.
John Michaud of The Athletic. Mike, obviously the fan base is really frustrated. What is your message to them about, moving forward, why this team can eventually have that playoff success?
Well, we have an unbelievable fan base, and they should be frustrated. We're extremely disappointed for them, disappointed in our performance. But my message would be this: we have established a championship program. It's just not the world championship yet. We know how to win. We know how to train to win. We have the right people, but we have not crossed the threshold of winning playoff games. And it's extremely disappointing to be sitting here talking about it. But I know how to win, and we will get over that threshold. I have total confidence in it, and that's why I'm standing here today.
And then with the trajectory you had at Green Bay, winning the Super Bowl in year 5, do you see this program that you've built here being on a similar path?
Yes. There you go. Thanks, John. But didn't expect a layup today, that's for sure. I think you build a program and you continue to grow from it. But the reality of it is you have to go through the tough questions and make sure you have answers. And the reality of it is this team's going to change. We're going to have changes. It happens every year. Just start with your roster. So 25% of our players will be different than what they were this year, and that's and frankly that's part of the disappointment because I thought we had an unbelievable team. I love the way these guys work, their connection and belief in one another. They're very coachable. When you kick them in the ass, they responded, and they love one another. They love one another, and I think that's important. The chemistry, and so there was so many good things, but we clearly came up a lot shorter than we anticipated.
Calvin Watkins, Dallas Morning News. How difficult were those exit meetings with your players?
I'll tell you, they're amazing men because the thing that just always blows me away is just how strong they are. The discipline in their emotion and the ability to express, and I think part of that too is, you start and every day is different. Because Monday's the veterans, so those conversations are more in depth, deeper. a lot of brutal honesty there. So they do a good job of giving me plenty to think about and to look at. And then you have the mid group, the mid guys, years 3, 4, and and then there's a little more there, and then there's a little more. This is what I need from you moving forward, and so forth. And then the last group's the first year players and the free agents and so forth. And it's more, taking some of the things you had in days 1 and 2 and applying it to the conversation. So. I started doing it back in '06. I don't even recall why, but every time I do it, it's a grind, but it's so productive. But there's a lot of strength and confirmation that comes from those conversations, and I applaud our men for that.
When you talk with your assistants about who you want to bring back and those kinds of things, when do you start that process?
Yeah, we'll start that probably end of next week. Some of those conversations will be preliminary. Right now, so we're just kind of moving forward in that direction. Obviously, this is the time of year when there are other opportunities, and so we'll work through that. I mean, the obvious is Dan Quinn's situation, so we'll just continue to work through that on a day-to-day basis.
Ed Warder, ESPN. Mike, to what extent in your meeting with Jerry did you have to make a case or an argument for him to continue forward with you versus him recognizing the value after your 4 years of partnership?
I wouldn't view the conversation that way. I think clearly, it started off with the peeling back the layers of what went wrong and the disappointment, and then. Then frankly, it got to where Jerry and I were one-on-one. And frankly, the best meetings I have is with Jerry's one-on-one. I can't. They're super productive. I mean, he's an awesome boss, but he's even a better leader because he asks all the hard, direct questions, which I love and appreciate, because you get to a depth in. You get into conversations that go in different directions, but there's always so much that comes out of it. So, and I'm just trying to go back through the conversation to answer your question. So, so we talked about everything. The right, the wrong, the indifferent, what we need to build off of. And so I don't know if there's much we didn't talk about as far as topics that apply to the football operation. So, so it's a conversation, hard conversation, definitely throughout a number of points there, but it was, they're conversations that I personally always look forward to, because I've never walked out of a one-on-one with Jerry where I didn't think I was better, one way or the other.
And regarding Dan Quinn, if he doesn't get a head coaching job somewhere else, is the assumption that you bring him back here?
Dan's a highly valued, member of our coaching staff. So, but we'll go through the process here.
Jane.
I ask this question as respectfully as possible, Coach, but I've heard you talk about why fans should buy back into this team. Why should they buy back into you? And then as a second part of that, I think talking to players, it was clear they wanted you back. But what was some of their feedback for you moving forward?
Their feedback for me? I'm not sure what you're asking.
They gave you some feedback in those evaluations.
Well, the feedback's on every topic, every category that I talked about. So I think it's the confirmation of how we operate here. There's training, there's expectation, there's the development physically, the development mentally, and the development emotionally. In the emotional realm, you're always chasing, because of the different maturity levels and different backgrounds that come into your culture each and every year. That's definitely the arena that's the most challenging and definitely is something that we'll continue to focus on and definitely need to learn from this past experience.
And why should fans buy back in to you as the head coach of this team?
Yeah, because I believe that the direction, the leadership, everything is in place, and I'm not very comfortable talking about myself, but I came here to win a championship. I didn't come here to get another contract or anything other than that. I came to Dallas to win the world championship, and that's why I'm standing here and buy into us.
Scott Hicks with the AP. How was the exit interview with Dak?
That was productive. I thought that we talked about a range of things, and I think just the biggest thing, with Dak, because we spent so much time together, so it's not like we had to go have a big conversation. It was more of a continuation of a conversation on a number of different topics. But I have unbelievable belief in Dak. I think he clearly has another step. I think this offense has suited him well. I think the things that we were able to improve on, it's a system built around making a quarterback successful. So the growth opportunity that we both see for the future was something that we are excited about. But the big part of the conversation was the disappointment, and we talked about the particulars of the game and some of the things that went wrong and how we can improve it on it.
As part of that growth opportunity, year two as the play caller and the quarterback, I know you've all been around each other for 4 years, but it's kind of the beginning of that relationship. Is there growth there that you see?
Well, it'll definitely be more growth because now that we've gone through it, and you can't get to this spot without going through it, is, the situations that we were able to go through and now apply to the training, and that's just how my brain works, because as the conversations you have not only with Dak and particularly the veterans, there's a number of things that come out of it, and you're like, okay, how do I tweak the training component to maybe move the needle, a different direction in that area you're focused on. So, but yeah, that's really what those conversations are about, and then obviously, his conversation is a big part of that because not only what he means to the team, but playing quarterback.
Michael Galkin, Dallas Morning News. How do you evaluate the way that your offense was able to run the football this season, and then on the other side of the ball, stopping the run, and when you talk change, work the run game on both sides?
I think just big picture wise, over the course of the year, we were below the line. I think we need to be better in both areas, and I think it's something that, that would go right off of what we were talking about in the last question. Those are the things, the training and how you do it and how you can improve there. But yeah, I'm not, we're not where we need to be in both those areas.
Nick Harris, DallasCowboys.com. When you look at the current roster, 16 impending free agents, pair that with your conversation with Jerry yesterday, how much change do you anticipate this offseason?
Too early. We touched on, some of those things, but yeah, it's really too early to get into that. But.
And in your exit meeting with Tyron Smith, did you kind of have a pulse on his future and what his mindset is right now?
Yeah, I think the biggest thing for Tyron is we talked about the the path of his season and the training plan that was in place for him. This is clearly his best season that I've experienced with him since 2020. So he felt really good about that. I think just the fact that he's not going into the offseason without any big postseason surgeries is a real plus. But we'll continue to talk moving forward.
Garrett Podell, CBS Sports. Mike, you said you went through an evaluation process. What, if anything, connects sort of the 3 postseason losses the last 3 years? Do you view them as individual incidents?
Yes, didn't sit down and go back through each one of those together, but the fact of the matter is, we did not play well enough in the 3.
Mike.
Mike Fisher, Sports Illustrated Arena. How much trepidation, following up on that, did you walk into the Jerry meeting with, wondering about what the outcome might be regarding your job security?
To be honest with you, I didn't really go there. I met with the staff and I just, I told them, really what was about to happen, just as far as, the evaluation and frankly it was a bit of a sprint just to get everything together, coming out of the exit interviews and everything, get that to go in there. But no, I was, like I said, I was just in the moment, frankly. I wasn't, I'll be honest with you, the only thing I worry about is my family. I'm extremely confident in who I am. I can't say that enough. And I'm confident in what we've done here, and I have great confidence in where we're going, and that's really it's how the meeting ended. So,
one more, Mike. Is there a threat
can I finish?
that connects?
I don't think, and not only where we're going, but we got work to do. The job's not finished yet. and we both know that.
As you do that work, is there a thread that connects the 3 seasons of not being able to get over the hump, and the hump?
Well, I mean, there's a lot of people that are here, that are part of those 3 experiences. So, but no, I'm just trying to go through the 3 games. I think there's a number of things. There's too many things that are different. So, and the reality of it is, in the game of football, it's going to be different next year too. So to sit here, and I'm going to tell you this too, I will take no responsibility, and I tell our players this too, and they have no responsibility on what's going on here the 20 plus years before that. We're responsible for what's going on in our program, and I know it's disappointing to the fans, but we are in position to learn and grow from this and build off it, and that's the best answer in my opinion.
Jeff Kolb with Fox 4. Coach, after Green Bay, when questions of your job future came up, Dak Prescott was very strong in his support of you. What does that mean to you, and what does that bond look like heading into year 5?
Well, I think it shows the connection that we have and the belief in the direction we're going. Like I said earlier, I believe in Dak Prescott. I think he's clearly the answer. He's part of the solution moving forward. And I think, as difficult as this time is right now, when we can, work through this emotional, period that we're in, we'll continue to build off of, what he brings to the table.
And as far as the threshold you talk about of being close but not getting it done in the postseason, what do you think that process looks like of figuring out the missing piece?
What does the process look like, the missing piece? I think it's like anything. You get back to the beginning and you train, to win games, and you got to, you don't even get an opportunity to answer these questions until you do your job in a regular season. So we got to take care of first things first. But it'll all be about, building and developing, the mental, the physical, and the emotional realms to make sure we're more than equipped and ready to win in all those arenas.
Kyle Yeomans, Dallas Cowboys TV. Coach, you mentioned earlier the heightened emotions of these last few days. Was there another point in your career where you dealt with emotions that were comparable, and how did you get through that?
Yeah, I don't want to go back there, but yeah. No, I mean, the NFC Championship game, losing my brother. So, yes.
How did you get through that?
One day at a time.
Jane.
Coach, you've obviously had your meeting with Jerry, you've had your meeting with us now. How would you describe your mindset, and what's the next step for you in the next couple of weeks?
Oh, I just got to continue to work. I mean, there's work to do. So, just stay the course.
Is there a relief now that this all been put to bed?
I think it's more of a direction, and that's all we ever want is, what's the direction, what's the schedule, and get to work.
Right. Mike, just going back to the game just for a minute. Was your team into the game mentally? I know I saw you talking to CD on the sideline. I'm just saying, coming to the game, did you feel that they were mentally ready for that game?
Yeah, absolutely. Talking about me talking to CD during the game?
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, the one time I went over to talk to CD during the game was about a route. We anticipated them rolling their coverage to him, and which they did. Both when he was inside and out. And our conversation was about a vertical route, an option opportunity, at the breaking point. So, and just how we saw that option, because there's 2 ways to go there. So, just give them clarity to make sure that the receivers and Dak were on the same page.
So you didn't see him being flat or anything like that coming in?
No, I think if anything, we were going too fast. That was the common message with the players. I watched the game, Sunday night when I got home, and that's what I felt. We've done such an excellent job in the big play, production component of the game, and it's definitely one of our strengths all year. But you can't chase big plays, and there's a number of times we were chasing plays, and it bit us in the ass.
Dak talked about playing too fast. Is that something that in a game like that, you have to, talk about calming down and letting the game come to you? Is
Oh,
that,
yeah.
that
No.
part of the learning process you're talking about, the next step you have to take?
Yeah, those are all characteristics of the ebb and flow of a football game. I mean, every player has a gauge. Some play too fast, some play too slow, and the biggest thing is to get into that neutral mindset and that gear that gives them, the right fit and into the scheme, playing to the guy next to them, and all those things. So that's part of football.
John. Mike, John Javad with WFAA. After the game, many fans expressed a desire for change of some sort, be it coach, be it quarterback. Here we are a few days later, and y'all are moving forward. I'm curious what change fans might be able to expect heading into next season.
I clearly understand and respect the emotion of all this, and definitely the fans' perspective. But that's what really the evaluation process is for. It's very raw right now, still is as I'm standing here in front of you. But there definitely will be changes and adjustments that are made, and I think we do have a lot to build off of.
All righty, thank you, Mike.
Thank you.